So I had an interesting conversation today. A friend of mine said I need to wake up and I need to look at the parallel between 5G and coronavirus. He said, look, Wuhan was one of the first places that implemented 5G. 5G, and he changed the story a few times. At first, he said 5G weakens your immune system and then you catch coronavirus. Then he also said it gives you coronavirus. So I'm not sure which one he was going with that, but he then said, and this has been predicted for a long time. People have been saying 5G is going to cause serious health problems. And if you look, there's been a patent on coronavirus uh, for years, at least dating back 2 to 3 years. Um, he then went forward and said what they're going to do is they're going to get us all sick with this, and then they're going to implement a vaccine. And through the vaccine, they're going to use mind control methods. They're going to dull us down, I guess. And I didn't really go in further as to what their end goal was. I'm guessing to make us like mindless robots or whatever. So fair enough. I'll look into this. I'll see what's going on. I have no idea what communications are being rolled out in other countries and other cities. I don't pay attention to that. So I looked into it, and with this giant box to unpack, I started at the beginning. And yeah, Wuhan was one of the first in China to introduce 5G. So you know what was before that? South Korea. South Korea's been handling this like a champ. They've had no problems. So I replied to him with that. And he said, "Yeah, but they there some people are immune to it." Okay, that seems weird. But okay. Then I looked into the patent. Okay, it was patented. All right. And yeah, coronavirus has been patented for years. Um, Currently, there's over 2,000 different patents related to coronavirus. And I said, yeah, but coronavirus isn't what this is right now. It's a form. It's Coronavirus has existed since at least the 60s, as far as we've known. This is like SARS-2 CV-19 or COVID-19, as a lot of us say. And he said, yeah, well, there's patents on that too. And sure enough, he sent me an article, and yeah, there are patents on COVID-19 from January of 2020. And then I replied to him too. I said, well, if 5G is causing your immune system to weaken and to catch this strain of this virus, then why is it in China they're starting to actually recover and they're doing better? And he said, well, they pulled them away from it. Then I looked into an article which showed that they're using 5G to make hospitals where a lot of these people are recovering. So that didn't add up. I brought that up. And he said, well, it's part of the cover up. He then sent me a video where a gentleman was explaining years ago, and it was, I think, 2016. He's talking about how 5G is going to cause health problems. Begrudgingly, I listened to this video and I watched this guy talk, and yeah, he definitely he went in, said 5G is going to cause major health problems no one's talking about. Don't let the government do this. This is going to kill us, and it's all part of a plan. Agenda 21 was mentioned, this whole globalization thing. But here's the kicker. He predicted it was going to cause cancer, which would make sense to me, honestly. I mean, when you're dealing with non-iodized or iodized radiation, it would cause mutation in your cells, and that would lead to cancer. Is there going to be some immune suppression? Of course. But cancer would be the final outcome, not like a new virus that we've never seen before. So I asked my friend, I said, why would they come up with such a convoluted plan to do this? I mean, if they were going to implement some new virus, they're going to create this virus to to thin the herd, so to speak, to scare us into getting this vaccine to control us. Well, And knowing, by the way, that some people are immune to it, that not everyone's going to even have symptoms or get sick by it. Number one, that sounds like the shittiest bioweapon I've ever heard of. That's like taking a 22 out on the field when they have the technology to take out what would be equivalent to a Dillon minigun. Why would they use that? It literally sounds like the weakest bioweapon I can think of. And I said, but furthermore, when you're talking about that, why wouldn't they just inject or add a different element, a different compound to existing vaccines that we're already getting anyway? Wouldn't that be a lot easier? Not tell anyone? Because presumably, to roll this whole thing out, you'd have to have every doctor, every scientist from every independent company on board, over 100,000 scientists and doctors on board with your plan. Because if you don't, they're going to scrutinize this and they're going to look at it very thoroughly. And when they find something's not right, they're going to bring it up. They're going to say, hey, that's interesting. This virus isn't actually all that deadly, and most people can't get it unless your immune system is compromised. What's compromising people's immune systems? That's what scientists do. I know this. They are thorough, analytical, and goddamn annoying. I'm married to one. And he replied, you're missing the whole point. This is about mind control. This is about them taking control of us. And so every response I gave, he just wasn't buying any factual information. And everything he was giving me was anecdotal. So I finally hit him with the bomb, the thing that I think would just slap him to his senses. And I said, what makes you think we aren't fat, stupid, and complacent? Why do you think that you have a choice? If there was a war on critical thinking, we lost years ago. Because Congress just passed a bailout cementing wealth inequality in this country. The elites, the rich, are going to be rich forever. The middle class is dead. Small business is gone. Major corporations just got a $4.8 trillion bailout. What did we get? Where's the uprising? Where's the critical thinking that they were trying to stop? It's talking about 5G and fucking coronavirus. If we ever had part of it, it's done. We don't have those skills. We're jacking our dicks off looking at 5G conspiracies instead of raising up against what's actually happening. And there's no anecdotal evidence to that. You can fucking look up the last bailout bill. He didn't want to face that, and he's just called me a tool. Fair enough, whatever you say. But if you ask me, we're already under their control. I don't like it, and it bothers me, obviously. But the fact that people aren't talking about people like Donald Trump, who came into the office as an outsider and had his big dick swinging around like he was going to change things, and then he melded right into the swamp, right along all those elitists in Wall Street, and every other person who's supposedly going to change things does the exact same thing. That doesn't bother you? That doesn't cause an outrage? No. The fact that they always bail out the elites, they go for the rich and the 1%, and this country is controlled by corporatism, that doesn't bother you? The cronyism that has caused most of us to be low class or just outright in poverty? Where's your critical thinking there? Where's your uprising? Nah, you're going to work. You're being the drone that they say you're going to be turned into. You're already that. And on that depressing note, I had another conversation yesterday, in fact, with a friend of mine, a very active feminist, very bleeding heart liberal. And she fought back with me as I posted an article about Joe Biden and Tara Reid. And I said the media is not talking about Tara Reid's claim because it's believe all women until it's believe all women except for the one who's running up against the candidate that you want. Said the mainstream media wants Joe Biden in office and they will protect him at all costs and they won't report on Tara Reid. And mind you, this woman I was talking to nearly cried during the Brett Kavanaugh hearings. Was saying, "Oh my God, the world is ending. This is misogyny. This is the Handmaid's Tale. Every other woke Yaz Queen thing you can say." And what did she say to this? She told me, "Well, for one, Tara Reid's a Russian agent. Don't you know? She wrote a whole blog talking about how great Russia is. She was even on Dr. Phil saying that she was in love with Putin and he was going to marry her." And I responded back to her with an article that showed that she never was on Dr. Phil. That was some other woman who kind of looked like her, to be honest. But that wasn't her. And the blog was actually a response to somebody else who was criticizing Russia's economy, and she felt like Russia's economy wasn't exactly to that critical status that they were comparing it to. It it was a nothing. And I followed it up by saying, you can't call everyone you disagree with a Russian. That narrative is getting really sick. And, it was done decades ago and it didn't end well. Not everyone who disagrees with you is a Russian. I don't know when it became Democrats versus Russian, but apparently that's what it is. And it's also kind of xenophobic, if you really want to get down to it. Then she said, yeah, but with Tara Reid, um, we don't know how credible she is. She's we should maybe listen to her, but we should really get down and criticize her story and really find out who's if she's lying or not. And I agree, fair enough. But why only do we check Tara Reid? Let's check Joe Biden too. See, I don't know Tara Reid and I don't know Joe Biden. But what I can tell you is I've heard both of them speak a few times, one of them far more than the other. One of them has told me that he was arrested visiting Nelson Mandela during the apartheid. And one of them has about 5 different stories to how he met a soldier. Um, Same soldier, the 5 different stories on how this event went down. One time he was pulling his buddy from a burning tank, like, you know, um, we've heard in the story of Danny Chang and Veep. And then the other one where he never got to his buddy and his buddy died. Either way, there's seriously about 5 or 6 different stories about this Medal of Honor soldier that Joe Biden met. He also has talked about the fact that he was on the Senate floor saying he would never cut Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid. He's said he had nothing to do with the crime bill, that he was on the floor talking about how great it was. Joe Biden lies a lot. Joe Biden is on record talking about his academic achievements. When questioned on him, he got angry, but proved that no, he didn't have. He didn't follow. Number one, he said he finished first in his class. Turns out he finished like almost sixth from the last. He didn't have certain degrees, he claimed. Joe Biden lies a lot. I don't know, maybe Tara Reid does too, but I haven't heard him as much. And so if I'm going to believe one or the other, I tend to believe the one who hasn't lied to me 1,800 times. But regardless, as I brought it up to her, the question is it believe all women, or are you going to support Joe Biden? And I knew what she was going to say, and it bothered me. It really did. Because I'm looking for people who are principled, for people who are a little bit credible. We can't be 100% correct on everything, and sometimes we're wrong, and that's fair. But I knew what she would say, and she said, well, Trump has raped way more women. Yep, that's what I thought. Believe all women, except for the one who is against your candidate. She then also too brought up all the different allegations against Trump. She brought up the fact that Tara Reid is a Bernie supporter, and I replied with the pretty obvious fact. Well, she is a Democrat, but there's Bernie and there's Joe Biden. Joe Biden allegedly raped her. Wouldn't that be weird if she was also supporting him? And like, how many people would vote for their rapist as the president? It doesn't add up. But at the end of the day, I think it's really fucked up that all these liberal, bleeding heart Democrats are throwing away Time's Up, Me Too, the Believe All Women, and I believe some of them were really principled and really thought that. But they're throwing that whole platform away. They're throwing away, honestly, the idea of women being credible about sexual allegations. For some dementia ridden elitist douchebag who's going to continue to make Wall Street more and more money while keeping you down and probably sexually assaulting women. I don't know. I'm not going to say Joe Biden did or didn't, but it's funny how quickly Believe All Women is just gone. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. You have a good evening.